Hey guys, this is Lucas from Better Coding Academy, and in the previous Git tutorial video we talked about adding branches and then pushing those to origin and why we need to do that. In this video we're going to be adding a few more commits on our feature subtract branch, and then we're going to be looking at merging that back into master, and I'm going to be showing you that process. So right now here we only have subtract and 3 minus 2. What I'm going to do is maybe just add another one. Let's just do say 10 minus 5, and 10 minus 5 we put 10 to 5 here obviously, and let's just do node.js, and that shows 1 plus 2 equals 3, 3 minus 2 equals 1, 10 minus 5 equals 5. So that's working just fine. The only reason I really did that is that I have an excuse to commit. Now that I'm committing, what I want to show you, firstly is you'll notice every single time before I commit, just out of habit, I do git status. And the reason for that is basically make sure I'm going to commit the right things. I'm not adding stuff that I'm meant to ignore into my Git repo here. For example, I tend to work a lot with JavaScript and with React, that sort of thing. So what happens is sometimes the installation packages, which we call node modules, accidentally don't get ignored or they get included. I want to make sure I don't commit those. That's just one example. Other ones include like environment variables, passwords, configuration, stuff like that, that I don't want to commit. So I just want to make sure every time before I commit, I always do a git status, and then I do git add dot, and then I do git status again to show what I'm going to commit. Now that I've done that, let's just do a commit, added another console output. I'm not really focusing on the commit messages at this point, which is why I'm keeping them quite simple. Some people think this kind of stuff is sufficient. I tend to go for multi-line git commit messages, but I won't touch on that in this video. So we'll just keep this simple, close this file, and let's just push. Remember what we did in the last video. Now we can just do git push, which basically allows us to go straight onto origin feature subtract. So now let's have a look inside of source tree. And in source tree here, you'll notice that this has kind of expanded out a little bit more. Yeah, so we have 3 commits now. Origin master is still on the first one. Origin feature subtract and feature subtract are both on the quote-unquote third commit. There's not really the third commit. Each commit has a separate ID, which is how they are identified. But basically, yeah, it's the third commit showing here, so I'm going to call it that. Now, what we're going to do is, let's just say that we're done with our subtract feature and we want to merge it back onto master. So normally what happens is, actually, before people merge to master, people tend to have what we call a develop branch. And basically, let me show you this article now, is let's go here and let's go to env git flow. And this is the one I want to show. This is a very, very popular Git article, and I've read this one many times. Now, this has basically, it's almost been taken as a standard. Basically, this whole note of reflection here, what it's saying is that, this is just, don't take this too seriously. Make sure you consider your own needs before you kind of, adopt this as dogma. What I personally believe is that this actually works really, really well. So let's kind of have a look at what's going on here. So we have the master branch, which, like I said, is only for basically fully released, fully tested work. And you see what happens here is we have the develop branch, which is kind of the main development one, and then feature branches come off of develop. So in our case here, we actually haven't really been following the Git flow pattern, because what we've done is we've actually branched feature subtract directly off of master. But what we're going to do now is basically go git check out master. So we're going to go back to master, and you'll see that this code actually reverts. But then from master, what we're going to do is we are going to do git checkout -b develop. So what is -b? -b creates the new branch. So by default, if I do git checkout develop, it'll give you an error because we don't have that branch. But then if I do -b, it creates that new one for us and switches to it. So it's kind of like doing git branch develop and then git checkout develop all in a single line. So that's what we do. Now we're on the develop branch. And what we're going to do is, firstly, we're going to push this to master. So we'll do git push u origin develop, and this will allow us to do git push in the future when on this branch. And let's have a look inside Chrome, and you'll notice now that we actually have the develop branch here as well. And the develop branch, we just committed this one here, or we just pushed it, but it's even with master. And now what we're going to do is we are going to merge onto the develop branch our feature subtract branch. So the way we do this is, the basic idea is we do git merge, and then we do feature subtract. However, I do not like to do git merge feature subtract like this directly. I actually like to use noff, and I'm going to be showing you what is noff and the difference between ff, which is fast forwarding, and noff. But firstly, I'm going to do git merge -no-ff, and then we're going to type in the name of the branch we wish to merge from, which is feature subtract. So once you press enter from this, you'll get this kind of commit message come up. It's called a merge message, and it has a message there for you already. I tend to just let that do its thing. So I just close it straight away and it will do the merge. So now that it's merged basically on our develop branch, if I do a git log, you'll notice what happens is we have 4 commits. So we have created index.js. This one is from the original commit inside of master. And then we have our 2 commits, which we did on the feature subtract branch. Now that we've done these 2, at the very top, we have merge branch. Anyways, so now that we've done that, we can do git push again. And now we can push this onto origin. So now that this is done, let's go over into Chrome and let's have a look at the develop branch. So now we have 4 commits, and this one actually has these 2 which came from feature subtract and then create index.js down there, of course. But now I want to show you source tree. So if you have a look at source tree here, our graph is starting to get a little bit more interesting. You'll notice here we have origin master still there at the very bottom, still on the first commit. But then we have this red line coming out, and this one comes out to feature subtract. But then over here, all of a sudden, it goes back into the blue line, and this is where develop is right now. Now, the reason we have 2 lines, you might be thinking, okay, why don't we have 3? One for master, one for develop, one for feature subtract. The reason we don't have 3 is because at this present moment, the develop branch is strictly the master branch plus a few more commits. So what source tree actually has done is, just in order to show this graph inside a source tree, is they've actually used the same blue line for both of those, whereas the red line here basically comes off to the side representing feature subtract. So I think there's actually a way to show it inside of Git as well. Git branch graph, I think there is a way to show it. Okay, so if I do git log graph, let me see if I can do that. I can close the terminal now actually. Git log hyphen graph. Let's see if this works. And there you go. So this is a little bit cramped here, but it's the basic idea, which is we start off on our red line here, which is our master. This is where we started. And then we go off onto our green one, which is going to be our feature subtract, 1, 2, and then we merge back in onto develop, which is currently over here. So that is what we currently have, and that is where the develop branch is up to. So this is what it looks like when you use noff. And you see that that's what happens. We have this kind of this shape here, and just pay attention to that shape and pay attention to the fact that we use noff and what came out of that. But what I'm going to do now is we are going to create another branch, git checkout -b from develop, which is the right way to do this. We do feature and we're going to do multiply. So we're going to add another branch, feature multiply, and inside of here we're going to do const multiply equals num1, num2, and we're going to multiply these ones together. So we do that, and let's add in a multiplication. So we do, let's say, 7 times 7 is equal to multiply, and we're going to put 7 twice here. So now that we've done this, obviously, let's just run it in Node, make sure it works. That's all fine. And now let's commit it onto this branch. So git status, git add dot, git status again, git commit, and we're going to commit added multiply function and output, and or something like that. Let's just save, and then let's do git push -u, and we can do origin head, which also works fine. Remember I said, basically, if we write head here, it creates a branch on origin called feature multiply and pushes this one. And now that we've done this, what we're going to do is add yet another commit. So we have 7 times 7, let's do 6 times 8. And 6 times 8 here, we do that. And just check that it works. So that works just fine. Git status, git add dot, git commit, added another line of multiplication output, something like that. And let's do git push this time to push it onto feature multiply. So now that we've done this, let's go and have a look at source tree. And you see what happens here is, okay, so that just moves over because we just finished committing. And you see what happens is we have feature subtract over here, and it kind of branches off into its own thing. So it's pretty clear that what happened is that we had another branch here, and then that branch merged back into develop. So it's clear that we have that shape. And there's nothing here on the blue side because we didn't make any like blue commits that we had to kind of work with there. But we have feature multiply now like this. And what I'm going to do is merge that into develop without using noff. So I'm going to do git checkout develop, which will take us back with our multiply. And we're going to do git merge feature multiply. And you see what happened is it didn't ask us to actually do any commits or anything like that. But now that we've done this, and let's just do git push well, I guess we can just do git push, that will work as well. We can push that to origin. I want you to look at the difference in the graph. Notice here what happens is that actually these two have become part of this main branch. They haven't come off. So what you'd expect to have happen is that this one and that one actually come off into, say, a green line or whatever, and then we have another commit up there, which is the merge commit. So you see what happened here is we had two commits, and then those two merged in a merge commit. But when you don't use no fast forward, it actually fast forwards it, which means that it just adds the two commits in as if it were part of the original develop branch, which is why I don't really like it, because it completely removes, or it deletes part of your structure and your history as to how those commits came to be. So I think it's much more important that we use noFF, especially when we have changes on another branch that we wish to merge in. That's definitely a better way to go. So I'm just going to show a little bit more of like a complicated part of this here. It's like if you were working on multiple branches and what that would look like. So we have multiply here. What I'm going to do is just do git checkout feature multiply again, and we're going to add a commit this time. So git checkout feature multiply, and let's just add in another one. Let's do 2 times 2 here as well. Git status, git add dot git commit, and then we can do, like, say for example, should have done another git status, but this should be fine because you can see the changes here as well. And we're going to do added 2 times 2 output as well or something, and let's push this one to feature multiply. And once we've done that, what I'm going to do is go back onto git checkout develop. So from the develop branch, and this might be simulating another person working, or it could be yourself as well. Now we're going to do git checkout -b feature divide. So basically, like, one person could be working on one feature, someone else on another feature, and I'm going to show that here. So we have divide, and then divide is going to be num1 divided by num2. So we can do something like divide 10 by 2, for example, and we can do 10/2 equals that. Make sure it works just fine, and it does. So now we do git status, git add dot git commit, and then over here we can do added divide function and logged 10 divided by 2. Save that, and then we can do git push -u origin head as well. And now we have feature divide pushed to our remote. So now that we've done this, what we're going to do is look inside of source tree. Now you see inside of source tree we have this one coming out, but we haven't merged it yet. So this one is feature divide, this one's feature multiply, and the reason feature divide is on this part here is because, well, I guess it could have been the other way around. It doesn't really matter, but both of them now have written extra code on top of develop. So if we look at the example here, it's kind of like if you have this commit here being the develop commit, and then we basically branched out onto feature multiply and also branched out onto feature divide. So now that we've done both of these, we want to merge them both back into develop. So let's do that now, and I'm going to show you how that works here. Is we go git checkout develop, and now we're merging the code back. So we do git merge, noFF, remember to do this. We do feature multiply, and we have this come up, we close that, and then we can do git push if we wish, but let's merge the other one as well. Git merge, noFF, feature divide. So now we've got that one, and you see we have a conflict. So this is what I wanted to show here. And the reason we have the conflict is because, well, on my other commit inside of feature multiply, we added this line, and in feature divide, we have this line. So what do we do in this situation? Well, the way you have to do it is you have to it really depends upon the situation, the code, and what exactly was changed. You have to use your brain here and look. So there really is no correct answer for which one to keep. Sometimes in this case, for example, you want to keep both. This is just plain text, by the way. It's just colored to look cool. So you can just go in there and literally change the text if you want to do that. But we can keep this and just click accept both changes because we want to have the times and also the divide. So now you can save this file, you do git status. You see this one says both modified, git add dot, git status again, git commit, and now we have this here. You can probably just use this commit message if you wish. And now let's do a git push. Now, whilst we're pushing, let's have a look again at source tree. And now we have some more interesting stuff here. Notice what happened is we have our red one, which is feature divide, the orange one, which is feature multiply, and then feature multiply kind of did this thing to merge back in here, and the feature divide went on the red line to merge back in, and now both of them are merged into develop. So now if we have a look inside of GitHub, and if we have a look at the develop branch here, you see what we have here is feature divide and feature multiply. We have divide function, and we have the 2 times 2 output as well from feature multiply. And also if we go back to master, all of this is just still one commit on master, and that is represented inside of source tree here. You see master is still at the first commit. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you have been enjoying this series. Make sure to tag along because I've got more videos like this one on Git coming out. This has been Lucas from Better Coding Academy, and see you guys later.